If you're a low libido wife who feels like sex is a chore, or you are a frustrated higher libido husband, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what higher libido husbands wish their lower libido wives knew. And in my next video, I'm going to be talking about what lower libido wives wish their higher libido husbands knew. This is the adult sex ed you desperately need but never got. My name is Olaumia, so I'm the sex therapist for women who struggle with low libido and for couples who experience desire discrepancy in their marriages. One of my female clients who has been working with me said something recently and it was powerful. She said, I finally understand how my husband has felt for all of these years and I really want things to change. And that is what this video is all about. Today, I want to help wives hear what many higher libido husbands experience behind the frustration, the pain, the repeated conversations. This is not about blaming or shaming the woman or anything. This is about compassion. Because when we understand another person's experiences, we are able to come from an angle of compassion. Now, why am I also doing this? I'm doing this because one of the things I have found out in my practice is that when couples have these conversations, even when the conversations come up and the husband, has conversations with his wife about how he would desire more sex, one of the things that I find is that couples don't really hear each other because the conversations are usually emotionally charged and things can easily be misinterpreted. The pain that the husband is feeling can come across as pressure to the wife. The desire and longing that he's feeling for her can come across as criticism to her. So very often couples are not hearing each other because of how emotionally heavy these conversations can be. As a lower libido wife, hearing your husband consistently, talk about sex or complain about the lack of it, can feel very accusatory, it can feel pressuring, it can feel frustrating, it can feel emotionally exhausting, and it can make you feel inadequate, even though that's not likely what he's trying to do. So this video is not to blame or shame anyone. And in my next video, I'm going to be talking about what lower libido wives wish their husbands knew. So let's get into it. 1. Your husband wants to feel desired too. Now, a lot of women think that for men, sex is mostly physical, but it's not just that, it's also emotional. He not only wants sex, he wants to be desired by his wife. He wants to know that you desire him, that, you're attracted to him. He wants to know that you are not just tolerating intimacy with him, but you actually want to be there. And here's the funny thing about men. For a lot of men, the woman's pleasure is like half their pleasure. So a man can have sex with his wife, and if it's evident that she doesn't want to be there, she's just lying down and she's like, do your thing, and she thinks, after all, I still had sex with him and he finished, he could have finished, but he may not have enjoyed the experience. Because for men, your pleasure as the wife is half his pleasure. Some people look at that and say, well, it's stroking his ego, but it's not just that. It is the fact that he can see visibly that his wife wants to be there with him, she wants to enjoy pleasure with him, and she wants to be in that experience with him. That is what really enhances his pleasure and makes his, the experience even more amazing for him because you want to be there. So when he's asking repeatedly and he's being turned down consistently, it is emotionally painful and hurtful even for him because it says to him that this person that I love and I want and I'm committed to and I'm married to and I love with the whole of my heart does not want me in the same way. As a woman, you might better understand it this way. That is pretty much the same thing that happens to women when their need for emotional connection is rejected. So imagine that you want to connect with your man, you want to spend time with him, you want him to spend time with you, you want to share your feelings and all of those things. And every time he's consistently rejecting you and saying, you know what, I'm not in the mood, I don't have time for this, I don't want this. To the man, it might seem like the woman just wants to talk. How many times will we talk? Is it every time we'll be talking? But in actual fact, for the woman, it's an emotional need. It's a need. And being rejected consistently can be quite hurtful. And so, if as a woman you look at the weighting of your emotional need and then weigh it vis-a-vis his sexual needs, the way you feel when you're rejected consistently is the way he feels when he's rejected consistently sexually. When these needs go unmet for a long period of time, There's resentment, there's frustration, there's anger. There's so many negative emotions that come into play that not only impact the sex life, but also start to impact other aspects of the relationship. Here's the truth: underneath all of that frustration and everything, a lot of husbands are grieving the loss of sexual connection that they thought they would have with their wives, grieving the loss of not having that intimate connection with somebody that they really love, and would love to share that with, but it's not available to them. Number two, if he has stopped asking, it doesn't mean he doesn't want sex anymore. It just means that he very likely is tired of getting rejected. So a lady sent me a message saying that her husband used to initiate sex and she would turn him down. And after a while, he stopped initiating and she was asking me, is my husband cheating and what have you? And of course, I don't know the husband, but I've seen this pattern play out very often in many couples who experience desire discrepancy in their relationships. Now, what tends to happen is self-preservation. Very simple self-preservation. Nobody is a glutton for pain. Nobody wants to consistently be on the receiving end of rejection. It makes you feel unwanted, undesired. Nobody wants to stay in that place. So it gets to the point where a lot of men would then stop initiating altogether, even though they want it. They just stop initiating altogether because they're tired of being consistently rejected. Now, beyond this, there's also something else that is not usually articulated, and that is the fear of forever. A lot of men in this situation start to think, is this how the rest of my life is going to be? Is this how, however many years of being married to this person is going to be? And so they're projecting into the future and it looks hopeless. What that does to a person, that disillusionment, does it mean that I never get to express who I am sexually or the way I want to express sexually with this person forever? That is a scary thought, especially for men who are committed to the marriage and committed to remaining faithful. That is a scary thought for anybody. As a matter of fact, if the reverse was the case and the wife is a higher libido person, those thoughts come to mind, and that is a scary thought for anybody to have. The fact that you never will be able to express sexually with this person that you are with for as long as you are married to the person, which might as well be the rest of your life. That is a very scary thought. It's important that I say this. This is not to blame the women, because in my work, I also understand that women experience low libido, disinterest in sex for a myriad of reasons. And that's why the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be speaking to what lower libido wives want their higher libido husbands to know. 3, unmet sexual needs can lead to being vulnerable to outside attention. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying that everybody whose sexual needs are not met will cheat or will betray their spouse or anything like that. I'm not saying this happens for everybody. I'm saying that it can create vulnerability to outside attention for a lot of people. Now, when a person is consistently rejected, they feel unwanted, they feel undesired, their sexual needs are not met, people start to, devise different coping mechanisms. For some people, they resort to solo play and using adult films to help themselves, right? Just as a way of coping and releasing sexual tension. And for some people, this can open them up to outside influences, not because they want to cheat or betray their spouses, but because they have become more emotionally responsive, to outside validation, attention, and even sexual interest. Now, I have to say this: people are responsible for the choices that they make, but this is something that I see very often in practice where people have become exposed to outside attention and many of them pursue it out of feeling dissatisfied in their marriages. There's so many emotions that come into play in desire discrepancy situations. If you are a lower libido wife watching this video is not meant to make you feel shame or guilt. It's to help you, understand the emotional world your higher libido husband is dealing with, that underneath all of that frustration is longing for you, is the hurt, is feeling unwanted, feeling undesired, feeling unseen, and all of those things. The truth is, a lot of lower libido wives are also struggling with disconnection, with a lack of pleasure, with, the fact that they don't even have the interest when they would like to. So this is why these conversations are very emotionally complicated. However, desire discrepancy is a problem that the couple need to work together to resolve. If this conversation resonated with you, this is the work I do in personalized sessions. I work with women and couples who experience low libido and struggle with desire discrepancy to resolve these issues and have more fulfilling intimacy in their lives. I also run a private community for women where we have discussions around intimacy, sex, and pleasure in our monthly classes. If you'd like to join us, click the link below as well to learn more. If this video resonated with you, if it helped you in any way, please like and subscribe, and please share with anyone who you think needs to hear this. I'll see you in the next episode. Take charge of your life and your pleasure.